Hey guys, it's Prince again. I'm here on my alt Dasnius. We're going to start the first episode of our guide to dailies. We're going to start off with the one a lot of people start with. They will call it Von 3. The quest is called Jungle of Khyber. It's a quest in House Kundarak. So, let's say you're here on your airship, or wherever you may be. You join a group. They're getting some epic experience. The group is level 20 to 30. Looks like it's right in your ballpark. You join and they say, hey, we're on Bond 3. Bond 3. So, where do we start when we hear that? Well, we have to remember that Bond stands for Vault of Night. It stands for the pack. And the number 3 means it's a third quest of that chain. It's going to be Jungle of Khyber. So, let me show you how to get there. This one is a tiny bit tricky, if you don't already know, because there's a pre-quest that you have to do to get there. So, from the airship, we step into House Kundarak, and we talk to Clips. I think that's his name. Yeah, over here. Now, because this is a pre-quest, it might look empty, and if you don't know, you might be confused because your party says they're in here, but it doesn't look like they're actually in here. That might be because they're already in the regular quest. Our job is to just get through the pre-quest as quickly as possible, and if you notice, it's not epic. It's just heroic, so even on a weak character, you should be able to run straight to the end and kill the last few trolls and make it. So that's what we're going to do now. Just going to try and run past everything because the only trolls you need to kill are the last group at the very end. So this group doesn't matter. This group doesn't matter. They're all going to chase you. Hopefully they don't knock you off your mount. If they do, you might have to stick around and fight them off. Get rid of the dungeon alert. But like I said, they're not that big of a threat. It's still a heroic quest. You can see their HP is like 150. This is the one we want. We wipe out this group, and see that blue little barrier that was here has disappeared. The quest is completed. 0 XP because it's not epic, but that's okay. What we want is to step in here. This is the quest. This is Bond 3. Right away around the corner, we're going to run into an optional. It doesn't always spawn. It's a little drow here. He's orange named, I believe. Gets you extra experience if he's there. Doesn't hurt to check. But that's not the way. It was a right turn from the entrance, right? So we can climb up the little ramp. Alternatively, you could also leave that optional and not even check for it and wait until you have a big group. And then the last person that comes in, you can tell them to check for the optional. And that way, for example, if this was the first daily you started with, everyone would get the experience except for just the people that were there at the start. If that makes sense. Here we go. We're going to fight off some scorpions here. There's one that appears after this group spawns behind you. It doesn't appear until after this group spawns. It doesn't always aggro on you. If you join the quest late, you might have to fight him off. There's going to be 2 force traps across the door, and the way to avoid those is to just run at the door, and by the time it opens, you'll skip right past the traps. Get rid of this group here. The casters are pretty annoying, especially if you don't have Death Ward, because they can hit you with negative levels. So these are where the first 2 traps are in this quest. You can always get, I believe, neutralization bonus here, but getting ingenious debilitation for the 30% trap bonus, it's up to chance, because the extra trap that you need is only a chance to spawn. There are 2 of them. So the first one would have been here. We would have had like a little orange named champion here, and there'd be a chest here, and there'd be a trap box that you have to search for around the chest. But we didn't get it here. If we had, I could have gotten an extra trap. But that's okay, we've got one more chance. So wipe out these 3. Now, this is the door you want to go through. This one is just an immediate dead end. You can take out some trolls here, and there are a few breakables. I don't think you actually need the breakables for ransack, but you might. I don't quite remember. Also, it doesn't hurt. I mean, it barely takes any time. Unfortunately, the orange named troll wasn't here either. If he had been, there would be a chest here, and a trap you can search for, a box you can search for right here. So no ransack for us this time around. That's okay. There's just one more trap that's always there later in the quest. 3 is actually not enough to get Ingenious Debilitation, but we'll disarm it anyway. Now here, when you pull that lever, it opens this door, but it spawns all these scorpions. It's like a trap. Now you can kill them here, but you can also just run them this way. I wouldn't spend too much time focusing on those guys out there, because they won't chase you. So just run. And the reason I like to do that, and fight all the mobs that chase you here instead, is because we have to wait for the Marut to show up there and give a little monologue before the next part ensues. Any minute now. There he is, see? He has some line of dialogue that he needs to finish for all these stones to wake up. And once the stones do, that door will open up. We'll have to fight some more drow, and we'll continue on our way. See, I took a few negative levels there. This is where the second trap is. If you don't have a trapper, when you pull this lever, there's a bunch of force damage that's going to come out of here. Since we're only on hard, it's not going to be that big of a deal. If you run it on heroic, or even on Reaper in epic, it's a good idea, if you don't have a trapper, to have everyone stand way back here. The trap reaches really far. Because it's just hard, it's not going to deal that much to us. In fact, I just made a save and it didn't deal anything. I'm a little over-leveled at this point. I'm not capped, but pretty far ahead. There's an optional right there. Little orange name. Give us some XP. There's a chest back here, but when you open it, it spawns, I believe, 2 scorpions. One from here and one from there. This dude that attacked us, the Scarrow, he was invisible here. He's always there. There are going to be some mobs that drop here, but not until you walk this way. So if there are people behind you, they might have to face off against those. I'll turn around in a second here, and you'll be able to see them. There they are. Pick them off so they don't shoot arrows at my back. It's pretty straightforward so far. Like, there aren't a lot of alternative ways to go. So what's nice about this quest. Lots and lots of monsters. Now here, there's a fork in the road, the very first one. It's not that problematic even if you go the wrong way because it's an immediate dead end, but it leads to an optional. So we're going to try and go for it. I'm getting drowned in nick levels here. Okay, I have a death ward potion somewhere. Aha. Probably should have drunk that earlier. Death ward really helps. You see I have 8 negative levels. They really spam that stuff. This is an optional here. Give him extra XP. He always spawns. Chest here, and there's also a mushroom collectible. That's all that there is here. Like I said, at the fork in the road, even if you go the wrong way in the first one, honestly, it's good because you get extra XP, you get extra kills to try and hit Conquest. Glug Glug, Death Ward. Second fork in the road. It actually doesn't matter much which way you go. You will still end up at the same spot. I'll show you that later. I like to go to the left because at this other fork there's another dead end with extra mobs and a collectible. Which, if you're going for all the kills, is pretty nice. In this quest, and actually most of the dailies, it's a pretty neat strategy to just have one person zerg through everything, just keep running, aggroing everything and then having the people behind him or her clean up all of the mess. And that way you get a fast completion. You also don't just ignore everything. It doesn't always lead to the most organized group play though, so go with your gut with whatever feels like it would work best. Here's another optional down here. Oh, by the way, this is another dead end, but I like to call this little room the ransack room because there's so many breakables. It almost gets you ransacked by itself. And we got an orange name boss for extra XP. There's the chest. You can see we have ransack now because of all those breakables. This is where it is, the most northernmost part of the map. But again, that's not the way we have to go. It's actually this way. So as you can see, you remember when I said it didn't really matter much which way we went with the fork? It all kind of connects in that little pretzel shape right there you can see on the map. Here are where the first shrines are, which I'm definitely going to use, so I am swimming in negative levels. Now there's a little chest behind me. It contains a key that we need to open the door to the next part. A lot of times people skip that because maybe their inventory is getting full or they don't want to bother or something and they just assume that someone else will have grabbed the key. Decent assumption, but every now and then you do run into those situations where everyone just assumed someone else got it. We run all the way to the door and then we realize no one actually took the iron key. So it's always helpful to grab it just in case. Here's the door. The next section is going to have a lot of beholders. It's not fun. Most people's least favorite part of this quest. That's why it's not always the best idea to fully buff after using that shrine, because these beholders, they'll immediately dispel you. You can see I cast Expeditious Retreat, Night Shield, Heroism, they're all gone now. Good old beholder anti-magic. In order to exit this room, we need to activate 3 runes. So usually people count them out in chat. You see up there are 3 unlit runes. We need to find them and light them. Sometimes there's one here, but there isn't this time. I like to use my auto target button to search for them. Like for example, I see one there. If I hit Q and look around, it'll eventually target it. See how it lit up? So I light that rune and I say to the party chat, I got 1. I type in the number 1 because 1 rune has been found, and that way they know how many they're looking for to open the door. Ideally someone else will be typing 2 and 3 now because everyone's been looking for the runes, but maybe people showed up late, they're not here yet. Maybe they're having bad luck finding them. So we'll just find all 3 of them. Again, hitting the auto select, and I see one all the way up there. For me it's Q, I believe that's the default key. I found one in the distance. Yes, I see it. And this is number 3. After lighting this one, I would either type 3 or open, and then everyone knows they can stop looking for runes. They can just go through the door. One more optional at the waterfall here. A little bit easy to miss because you have to really hit these platforms here. Oof, alright, good. I didn't fall. Just another little orange name. It comes with an iron golem, but you don't really need to kill the iron golem. See, I already got the 5k XP there. Take the collectible, other collectible, and I just leave the golem there. Most people kill him, it's not the biggest deal. We're getting closer to the final rune here. Every time you finish off a group of these, another door opens, and another group of mobs come through it. Last one. Now this last little group consists of Vale's 3 champions. One of them is a Beholder, the one everyone doesn't like. We've got the Troll and we've got the Drow. Alright, this is now the final room. The final room locks when you start the fight. It locks from back there. But I think the door opens up after the fight is over, so people won't get locked out of their tokens. This is one of the quests that drops tokens of the 12, or at least fragments. In fact, if you run it on Elite, it drops 2 tokens, I believe. But because we're just on hard, we'll just get fragments. So when the Marut comes, those rocks over there spawn as well. But they also despawn when he goes down. So maybe if you're close to Conquest, might be worth killing him. I actually don't know how close we are. 131 kills. There are a few back here as well. 133 is not Conquest. I think it's 138 or something like that. But anyway, you don't need to come back here. You just need to kill the Marut if that's all you're interested in, is completing the quest as quickly as possible. You can finish him off and the rocks would disappear. There is our completion. The epic chest spawns right next to Vale. We open it, we get our fragments, we take the keys. The fastest way out of here, instead of recalling, is actually to have someone set up a dimension door. Take it, it takes you right to the entrance, turn around, and we're back out. So if we were doing my method, we would take our reward or abandon the quests and go back in, run through the pre-quest, and step back in on normal. And that is Vaughn 3.